What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for quarterbacks to take their skills and take their game to the next level. So the 3 things we're going to be covering today is why quarterbacks should not push off of their back foot. Then we're going to be talking about the correct way to hitch up and have the correct weight transfer on a deep ball and get more distance on your deep ball. And then we're going to be talking about the different types of throwing motions and how every single quarterback is different. So I hope this video helps you guys out. But also, fellas, if you're a quarterback or even a wide receiver, any position, and you'd like to train with us this offseason, we are going to be traveling out to 6 different states across the U.S. for 2-day long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So on April 9th and 10th, we're getting back on our tour. We're going to Atlanta, Georgia. Then we're going to Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, and Los Angeles, California. So we've already been to 4 states. We've been to Florida, Arizona, New Jersey, and Houston, Texas. So now we're coming out to 6 more states. So check out that very first link below, fellas, if you'd like to get some work in with us. Small group atmosphere for 2 whole days, 4 hours each day, and you guys are going to learn a ton. So again, very first link in the description below. All the videos that we've been posting of myself coaching, those are all from our camp. So again, we would love to have you out there. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first here on this throw, the first tip is that you got to make sure that we are not pushing off the foot and we are shifting my weight off the back leg. So we look at Tom Brady. Now, the problem that so many quarterbacks have is they have a very long stride or they don't know how to transfer their weight effectively. So old school way of teaching is, oh, you want to drive off this foot. You want to push off the inside arch of the foot. And to be honest with you, that is something that I used to say, but I would never mean it in the fact that I would want a super long stride. I would think of it more like, hey, you're taking all this weight on your back leg. You're going to drive off the foot and shift it to the front leg. But I found that what a lot of quarterbacks will do, especially when their back foot is underneath their back shoulder, is it will create a very long stride. So when we play this clip from Brady full speed, you see how quick his stride is. You see how fast he's able to get that front foot in the ground. It's just a quick shift. That's how quick it has to be, because when you guys throw, it is all about weight transfer and hip rotation. The weight transfer creates the hip rotation. So when you guys are lined up here or lined up in your stance, you see how Brady's got about 70%, 75% of his weight back, and that back foot's underneath his shoulder. An old school method of teaching is, hey, you want your feet super wide. You want a super wide base like you're on a surfboard, right? Now, the problem with that is that when you go to transfer your weight, your leg's going to extend because you're not able to actually rotate through with your hips. So you have to have your back foot in a good position, because as quarterbacks, we're either rotational athletes from my hips or we're rotational athletes from my shoulders. So when you're here and you shift the weight through, that allows you to drive this leg through, drive this knee through, and get your front hip to open. As a quarterback, so many times what we do is that this front hip will lock out, like you'll go to transfer your weight and this front hip will lock. You're not able to rotate through. That's why having a super wide base is bad. And you'll swing your front elbow down, you'll swing your shoulder open, and all that does is affect your release point. So to be more of a hip thrower, fellas, we have to focus on shifting weight. So you should be thinking, I'm taking that weight on my back leg, I'm driving off of my back quad and shifting it through to get the front hip down or get the front hip through. Because if that creates the front stride. That weight shift, you getting your weight through, creates the front stride. Not pushing off the foot, because that's just going to cause a long stride and throw off your timing. To get this front hip to go through, to get that back hip to drive through before the football, I have to think weight shift, get the front foot down because of the weight shift to let my hips make the throw for me. So this is a textbook example here from Tom Brady. So let's watch the thing full speed again one more time. Great job having that weight on his back leg, shifting it through and creating a quick front stride so his hips can rotate through on the throw. We are hip throwers, fellas. Hips will give you more power. It'll give you more velocity on the throw if you combine it with a disciplined upper half. So now we're looking at this clip here from Bryce Young, and I want to talk to you about one of the common mistakes that quarterbacks make when they take hitches, and this limits the amount of velocity they could put on the ball and the distance they could put on their deep ball. So let's look at this clip from Bryce Young. So he gets back, he's taking this like 3-step drop, and you see when he hitches up, he's able to get a lot of weight on his back leg, right? So you see how he hits the top of the drop. So many quarterbacks get to this position. I call it like the bike kickstand. And that's completely fine if you know you're hitching on the route. I try to not have my quarterbacks really ever get to this position, because football is like, you go through progressions, right, in the pocket. And when you're going through progressions, you have to be ready to throw at all times. You rarely, like, unless it's a deeper throw like this, maybe you're throwing a wheel, maybe you're throwing something where you know you have to hitch, then you could get to this position. But so many quarterbacks will get here, and then when they take a hitch, they never shift their weight back like Bryce Young does right here. They never get their weight to that back foot. They never get the back foot underneath their back shoulder like Tom Brady did. What they'll do is they'll hitch up and they keep their weight shifted forward, right? Now, the problem with that is that when you have all your weight shifted forward on the front leg, you have nothing to transfer. You saw in that clip of Brady that we were just looking at, right? He had 70% of his weight on his back leg, and he was transferring all 70 of that to create the front stride. But if you get to your hitch, you see how he's got like 90 right here, and then you hitch up and you keep like maybe 70 on the front side, you only have 30% of your weight to transfer. So that means you're losing out on 40, 50% of velocity, of power on the throw. So when you hitch up on this thing, you have to make sure that I have my weight shifted forward, and it's almost like I'm using my like elbows, if you will, and shifting my weight back. I'm shifting my weight to the back leg. I'm sitting with that back leg under my frame, under my shoulder, and my weight's shifted back. I'm light on the front foot so I can transfer the weight. And you see, same thing that we were looking at with Brady. He takes that weight. It's not a push off the back foot. It is a drive off of the quad, and it is a shift of weight forward so my front hip can open and my back hip can drive through before the ball. That is the number one key on this, fellas. When you take a hitch, we cannot leave all that weight on my front side because that's just going to make me push the ball. I'm going to have too much weight here. My back leg's going to extend behind, and I'm going to throw this thing solely with my upper half. And the reason why that's bad is that puts stress on the arm. That will make you inconsistent because your release point is going to be flawed. It is all based on the hips, fellas. The weight transfer creates the rotational force, which creates torque, and which will make you a more consistent passer and give you more velocity on the ball. So that is the second tip, fellas. A lot of quarterbacks do not know how to do this. I'm telling you this right now. And if you feel like this is maybe not a problem that you have, it probably is, because I see this in so many quarterbacks across the country that we travel to all have these types of problems. So we have to make sure that when I hitch up, I'm shifting the weight back foot is underneath my frame. Let's watch this throw again one more time. This is a textbook move here from Young, really mechanically sound throw and being able to get his hips through the throw. So now, last clip here we're looking at is from Justin Herbert. Now, the main thing is that, like, I talk about this stuff, and I talk a lot about hips. I talk a lot about weight transfer. I talk a lot about your front side on throws. But I want to include this clip because I want to show you guys that it's not everybody throws the exact same way. This is where a lot of quarterback coaches go wrong. They get so caught up. Like, you see how Herbert, he's got a very unique motion, right? Like, he holds the ball here with the nose up. Not a lot of guys hold the ball like this. Like, you see when Tom Brady holds the ball, the nose is down. You see like Aaron Rodgers, he holds it a little bit lower and a little bit more relaxed. He has the nose up. Again, everybody throws different. Everybody has a different body type too. Like, you could kind of almost tell based on a quarterback's body type how he's going to throw, like how his throwing mechanics are going to be. If you got like a long rangy dude who's very relaxed, you could tell he's probably going to have a smoother stroke. You got like a bigger, stockier wrestler type guy, you can probably tell that he's going to have probably a shorter motion, doesn't have as much range of motion. Everybody throws differently. But the keys that you have to understand is that it's the front side discipline, it's the hip rotation, it's the base, it's the weight transfer, it's keeping your head level. Those are the things that is what makes you consistent. No two quarterbacks in the NFL, in college, anywhere throw the exact same way. Everybody throws the ball differently. Now, what makes a good coach is that he's able to understand that, and he's able to actually apply things that can apply to all throwing motions that'll help you improve. Obviously, guys who are flawed, who lift the ball straight up in the air or who drop the ball super low, that's a different scenario. But the key with your throwing motion is you just have to get to some kind of position before 90 degrees, and your weight transfer and hip rotation bring you up to 90 degrees. That's the main thing with the motion. If you could get to somewhere, like some guys like to be the perfect L, some guys like to be a little bit tighter like Herbert, some guys like to be a little bit lower, like you see Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray drop the ball very low. They have that kind of baseball throwing motion. Same with Josh Allen. But as long as we get to some kind of backstroke position with the shoulder closed, you're transferring your weight, and the hip rotation brings you up to that 90-degree angle, and you don't just lift the ball right there, that's fine, man. Everybody throws the ball differently. You have to understand that, and you have to understand the things that you need to add to your game is a lot lower half based. It's a lot of weight transfers, a lot of hip rotation, it's a lot of core rotation, and it's a lot of timing with your shoulder sequence and being able to generate power. So I hope that makes sense. Let's play this thing again full speed one more time. A lot of guys try to overcomplicate, and a lot of guys try to make all their dudes throw the exact same way. You got to find a throwing motion that's efficient, number one, but that also suits you and that you are comfortable with. You obviously can't be lifting the ball. You can't be dropping the ball. You can't be just pushing it. You have to have some kind of motion, but everybody throws it differently. You have to find what works for you and add those key things that you see in elite quarterbacks All of them that they do, which is the front side, the weight transfer, the hips, their base, that's what you should add to your game. And just be your own quarterback. Throw the way that's comfortable for you. That is the most efficient way. Let's watch the thing again, full speed. Again, Herbert, very unique motion, but one of the top guys in the league. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all about any of this stuff, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section. Guys, we really appreciate the feedback. We read every single comment, so we 100% appreciate it always. And again, fellas, if you want to come train with us in 6 different states this off season, we are traveling out to Atlanta, Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, and Los Angeles. 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. Check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out there. I'll see you guys next time.